Welcome to the last class for the course Business and Company Law, and this is the 10th module. And we'll be talking about the global business law and emerging legal trends. The global business law and emerging legal trends. And at this point, we will look at the complex legal framework um, governing international commerce. We'll look into the digital trade and evolving corporate responsibilities. And we will also delve into the foundational instruments, the regulatory challenges, and the legal implication of emerging technologies, providing a critical understanding for navigating global business. Talking about international trade laws, these are actually guiding global commerce. And international trade law are the backbone of cross-border um, commercial transactions, providing universally organized rules to reduce barriers and promote legal certainty. And key pillars include WTO, which is a World Trade Organization, the United Nations Commission, and international trade law. We also have the Convention of Contracts for the International Sales of Goods, CISG, also. And what are they doing? What are their responsibilities? The WTO, the World Trade Organization, regulates trade between nations and settle disputes and also monitor policies. So they have vested with the responsibility of regulating trade between different countries, and also in times where possibly disputes comes up, they are there to settle disputes, and also they monitor policies. So these are what the WTO, the responsibility they have in terms of international trade law. And for uni that's the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. They harmonize and modernize international trade law for private parties. So they have the sole responsibility of harmonizing and modernizing international trade law as it pertains to private parties. And the last one is the Convention of Contracts for the International Sales of Goods. And they are vested with the responsibility of providing a uniform legal framework for international sales of goods contracts. And these three are actually pillars, key pillars that we can say we can pinpoint in international trade law. Also, we have the cross-border business regulations, and in a bid to navigate the cross-border business regulation, it's actually crucial for us to know that they are important for multinational enterprises. And this framework facilitates international trade. It also protects investors and ensure adherence to global legal standards. It covers areas like taxation, licensing, antitrust, labor, and foreign direct investments. And companies must comply with domestic law, the bilateral investment treaty, and regional economic blocs. And failure to comply with such leads to sanction, reputational damage, and legal disputes. And also, legal counsel must conduct through thorough risk assessment and due diligence. And governments are increasingly collaborating on regulatory convergence to simplify compliance. We have the um, e-commerce and digital trade laws. We have them, the e-commerce and digital trade laws. And as digital technologies redefine commerce, e-commerce also has a trade law, has central to business law. And this rapidly growing domain involves consumer protection, cybersecurity, electronic contract, intellectual property, taxation, and data localization. For electronic contract, laws provide legal equivalence uh, to digital transactions and signatures. And as it pertains to consumer protection, online businesses must disclose their clear terms, providing refund and also ensure secure payment as per when transactions are being made that relates to payment. Also, for cross-border taxation, global shift towards taxing digital services, leading to digital service taxes. So we now have a movement into digital um, service taxes, whereby in performing cross-border taxation, it can be done, the payment of tax can be done digitally now. And that data governance, that's conflicting standards on data flow, storage, and privacy create compliance challenge. So these are challenges that are coming as it pertains to e-commerce and digital trade, and there is need for the creation of law in order to actually curb every of this. So these areas are very, very important in terms of electronic contracts, in that of consumer protection. It's actually a very sensitive aspect also, and in terms of cross-border taxation and data governance, and also in terms of intellectual properties too. They are challenging areas that need to be looked into, and necessary laws need to actually be put in place. And data privacy um, law, we also have data privacy laws, and these are essential for protecting personal information and ensuring responsible corporate data practices. Businesses must navigate complex regime like that of the GDPR, the NDPR, and the CCPA. That's for which imposes strict requirements on data collection, storage, processing, and sharing. We have for the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. It's been enforced since May 2018, and it protects the personal data of the European Union residents, and applies extraterritorially to organization worldwide that target or monitor individuals in the European Union. And it established extensive data subject rights, strict accountability measures, and severe penalties of up to about uh, 20 million euro, or 4% of global turnover, for non-compliance. And for Nigerian data protection regulation, it was introduced in 2019, and it aims to protect the data rights of Nigerian citizens and apply to both domestic and foreign um, businesses processing their data. It requires annual compliance audits, explicit consent, and provides penalty of up to about 10 million naira, or 2% of annual gross revenue, for breaches in terms of the compliance. And we also have the California Consumer Privacy Act, which takes effect from January 2020. And the CCPA grants California residents rights to access, delete, and opt out of the sale of their personal data. It applies to qualifying businesses and allows statutory damages for breaches, with the CPRA further strengthening the protection. The business environment is actually shifting towards sustainable driven uh, by ESG. And that is why we need to actually talk about sustainable business practices and ESG, that's the environmental, social, and governance compliance. So it's very important to talk about it, as it is also critical issues, contemporary issues that are coming up when we perform, when businesses are being performed. So ESG compliance is now a critical element of risk management, investors relation, and corporate accountability, with legal framework mandating its integration into corporate strategies. So sustainable practice include reducing carbon emission, promoting diversity, maintaining ethical supply chain, and transparent governance. And companies are expected to report the ESG performance through non-financial disclosure. And ESG compliance intersects with fiduciary duty. Board must factor ESG risk into decision. Failure to comply can result in sanction and reputational damage. And you see that it's actually a very serious issue when we talk about carbon emission. It's actually the duty of businesses to see that there is reducing carbon emission and reduced carbon emission rather, and there should be a form of promotion of diversity, maintaining of ethical supply chain, and also a transparent governance. And these are very important. So yeah, the compliance is very important, and it's what is being that a sanction can be placed upon if not really worked on as a company. And we also have some recent um, reforms. We have some recent reforms, and these fall into the area of artificial intelligence, this crypto, and then the ESG, as we've talked about. And when we talk about that, rapid technological advancements and evolving societal expectation are driving legal reforms in business and company law, and particularly in terms of AI, the cryptocurrencies, and expanded ESG framework. For artificial intelligence, jurisdictions are establishing regulatory framework for ethical AI use, imposing obligation on high-risk application. And also for the cryptocurrency and blockchains, the legal treatment remains fluid, with new laws combating fraud and financial instability requiring licensing and KYC, or anti-money laundering law. Or, and also the ESG-driven innovation, which is becoming entrenched in binding legislation with climate disclosure mandates and supply chain due diligence law. In conclusion, global business law is dynamic and interconnected, and foundational framework like that of the WTO, the UNCITRAL, and the CISG governs international commerce, while data privacy law, like the like we've discussed, redefines corporate responsibilities. So ESG compliance also emphasizes sustainability, and emerging techs like AI and cryptocurrency demands proactive legal adaptation. So businesses must remain agile, leveraging informed compliance strategies for sustained um, growth. And we've come to the end of the course. I want you to go through the notes. We have a well explained notes, and you can better understand. And we also have quizzes that will help in order to help you to understand more and check how well you've been able to grab what we've been discussing. Thank you.